Another game, another thrilling victory for the Sun Devils. Arizona State beat the Oregon Ducks 74-72 right here at Wells Fargo Arena. I'm Ina Lazarev here with DevilsDigest.com publisher Hod Rabino. Hod, this game was really a tale of two halves. In the first half, everything was going right for the Sun Devils. They win into halftime with a 20-point lead, 43-23 over the Oregon Ducks. What was going right?
Well, Arizona State, for starters, shot over 68% in the first half, and we're limiting Oregon to less than 30% shooting. So that was obviously a huge factor over there. Arizona State was able to go in and control the boards against a pretty long Oregon team. That definitely helped over there. And Oregon, even though they had less turnovers than Arizona State in the first half, really looked like the more disorganized team out there. Arizona State absolutely capitalized in the first half, like you said, a 20-point lead at halftime.
I don't know what Dana Altman said to his players in the half, but whatever it was, it worked. Herb Sandek did say that it wasn't an Arizona State meltdown. It was Oregon playing one of the best halves he's ever seen as a coach. Do you agree with this statement?
I do agree, because you look at Joseph Young, leading scorer for Oregon, one of the best players in the Pac-12, having 0 points in the first half, 29 points in the second half. As a team, Oregon scores 49 points in the second half. I don't think it was really a meltdown by Arizona State or any kind of mental lapses they were having. They really ran into a buzzsaw, if you will, but luckily for them, they went ahead and built big enough a lead at halftime, even though they relinquished it down the stretch in the second half. They built big enough a lead to go ahead and win this game. Obviously, turnovers were an issue all afternoon. Another thing that really bothered Arizona State is Oregon's press defense. They really took the ball out of G. Carson's hands more often than not. Other players were not able to go ahead and step up. And I think that even Jordan Bashinsky, who did have a great game, they did a great job trapping him down low. Arizona State shot at one point, I think it was like 15% during the second half. Very poor showing in the last 20 minutes, but just good enough to go ahead and win. I think one thing that was huge, maybe it's not talked about a lot, Arizona State missed 15 free throws against Oregon State on Thursday. They missed 10 today, but only 4 in the second half. A lot of clutch free throw shooting down the stretch by Jermaine Marshall, G. Carson. That's how Arizona State just ekes out a win today on Saturday.
You mentioned the 15 turnovers tonight, and also you talked about Jordan Bashinsky, who said that the full court press bothered them much more than they were willing to admit. What can they do about that?
It's just practice, practice, practice. I mean, there's really no secret formula to that. Somebody else, except from G. Carson, has to be able to bring the ball up the floor. And when we saw at times Jonathan Gilling, maybe Jermaine Marshall, not feeling that comfortable in that role. So I think a lot of it starts with the inbound plays, because Jonathan Gilling was really the point man, if you will, on those plays. And when he has a hard time finding G. Carson or needs to go ahead and get the ball back from G. Carson because he's covered in the backcourt, he needs to go ahead and just do a better job bringing the ball up the court. So I think there's a little change in philosophy of maybe who's going to inbound the ball, and really just having other players not named G. Carson being able to bring the ball up court. I mean, sometimes at Arizona State barely passed the half-court line right over here in 10 seconds. And that is something that has to be shored up in a hurry.
And what a weekend Jordan Bashinsky had. 2 days ago, he set the Pac-12 conference record for blocks. Today, he followed that up with not only the game-winning block, but a near triple-double performance.
27 points, 9 rebounds, 9 blocks, and like you said, no bigger block was the last block of the game. Very reminiscent of the Marquette game early in the season, where he also blocked a potential game-winning shot by the opponent. He's just basically having on a roll right now in the week. I mean, playing very, very well. I think G. Carson and his teammates are doing a great job feeding him down low with the ball. He's attracting a lot of attention. It is opening the floor for some other players. Jordan Bashinsky, you can put him up there right there with G. Carson and Jermaine Marshall. If he has a good game, most likely Arizona State will win those contests. And the way he's been playing all season long, and it's good to see the recognition of getting the career conference in blocks, and just having a good game overall. So that definitely is a huge factor for Arizona State, because again, he is definitely one key player. He proved it all season long. You'd have to wait until this week to go ahead and recognize that fact. So another great game for the center.
And this was obviously a very significant game for both teams. You could tell by the intensity coming from both sides. What was on the line? Well,
I think on the line, first of all, really the biggest thing on the line, I should say, is just NCAA tournament. And you look at Oregon, non-conference, they go 12-0, 13-0, and absolutely abysmal in Pac-12 play. they need to go ahead and turn it around right away if they have any shot of making it to the dance in March. Now you look at Arizona State. Today was their 18th win. This is another win against a top 50 RPI team. So we talk about building the resume for the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. This is one more win that's going to look that much better when Arizona State makes its case, obviously not in person, to the committee members. But it's also important for Arizona State to go ahead and get on a roll over here. A very tough game, obviously, waiting on Valentine's Day, Friday, against Arizona. So you better need to go ahead and get the wins that you're quote-unquote supposed to get when you can go ahead and get them. And Arizona State did it today. And I also think it also says something to the resiliency of Arizona State. Its last 3 wins, going back to Cal last week, a win in overtime. Obviously Thursday against Oregon State, a win in overtime. Today, a game that could have gone to overtime. Almost went into overtime, but didn't. I think there's something to be said about the resiliency of the team when you're playing like this in the first week of February. So I think a lot of things are really coming together quite nicely for Arizona State. We had a very good non-conference slate and in the Pac-12 play right now, doing very, very well. Yes, maybe they're winning much closer games and too many close games than people would like them to win.
A win's a win, right?
A win's a win, and again, the committee is going to look at you beat a top 50 RPI team, not that you barely beat Oregon 2 points at home.
And you mentioned ASU's next game. The number 2 Arizona Wildcats are coming into town less than a week from today. What do the Sun Devils need to do between now and then to really have a shot at getting another win? I
think when we go back to what I said earlier about Oregon's press defense, U of A already does a great job with their press defense. They pressed Arizona State up there in Tucson and they were leading comfortably by 20-some points. So you know that they probably are licking their chops, so to speak, going to watch this game film and see how much the press defense did bother Arizona State. So that's, I think, the first priority for Arizona State. They need to go to make sure that they go ahead and have an answer for that press defense. Also turnovers. I mean, again, Arizona, great defensive team. They're going to go ahead and cause you a lot of turnovers. So just taking better care of the ball, making better decisions when you're combating the press. So I think those are the 2 things that have to be ranked, right up there on the priority list. I think Arizona State's doing a good job rebounding the last couple of games. They are shooting the ball well. I mean, I think what you saw in the first half, not that you can shoot 68% every game or every half, but I think there's definitely enough scoring around this team to go ahead and do that. So really just taking care of the ball, whether it's turnovers, whether it's just beating the press. I think that has to be the first priority for Arizona State as they're facing their toughest opponent probably this year.
And it's not the same Arizona team as they faced in January without Brandon Ashley, so we do have to keep that in mind.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think Arizona State can go ahead and possibly take advantage of that because Eric Jacobson, ever since he's been inserted in the starting lineup, is playing very well. So not having Brandon Ashley for Arizona, I think that presents a challenge for the Wildcats because they're going to see a much different Eric Jacobson than they did last month in Tucson. But I think this also comes down to Jahi Carson really being able to go ahead, as we mentioned, beat the press, making better decisions with the ball. And a player like Jermaine Marshall, for example, who didn't have a good game from the field, but did very well from the free throw line. I'm not sure if that formula will work on Friday, so that's another player that I would expect to go ahead and step up. But again, I think Arizona State's playing just fine the last few weeks. Yes, they're winning a lot of close games, and you think that that's going to go ahead and come to bite you at some point. But again, I think there's something to said about resiliency. That's a word that gets thrown out a lot. But I think that Arizona State is a team right now that's able to go ahead and show that trait, and they're definitely going to have to show that against Friday if they have any chance of winning Arizona.
An important game coming up for the Sun Devils on Friday, February 14th. Keep it right here at DevilsDigest.com for all of your latest coverage. I'm Lazarev with Hod Rabino.